All right, so as I have stated, today we're going to talk about wvOASIS. One thing that I like to kind of start off with when we talk about OASIS and the fixed asset system is that if you lease vehicles through us, one of the benefits of doing that is that you really don't have to do too much in OASIS. Because if you lease vehicles through us, we put them in OASIS, we modify them in OASIS if we need to, and we decommission them through OASIS. I don't know if Stephanie would like to add anything to that because I know she's kind of in charge of all that stuff.
I think you put it very succinctly, Tim. That's correct.
Okay. Then, yeah. So that's kind of another benefit of leasing vehicles through us. Just, how do I want to say it? Makes your life a little bit easy when it comes to the OASIS system. Some things we're going to talk about today is we are going to discuss a little bit about FA documents, FD documents, FMs, and FCs, which are all fixed asset related documents. The vehicle catalog codes that determine the weight class of the vehicle or whether it's a trailer or not. The FARCOM page. Some of the fixed asset reports that you all can run in OASIS and that we use for our year-end reporting. We'll talk a little bit about objects and sub-object codes that give you vehicle-related expenses. And I'm going to briefly talk about the 311 upgrade. Even though that went into effect about a year ago, I feel like it'd be a good thing to just kind of refresh everyone on where that's at and what ended up happening with that. The first document is an FA document. This is a fixed asset acquisition document, and this is used to enter any asset into OASIS, which a vehicle is an asset. We feel it is very important to be as descriptive as possible when entering a vehicle into OASIS. And again, this is you all would only do this if it is an agency-owned vehicle and not leased through us. So some pieces that are very important to the FA document are the vehicle make, model, year, serial number, and the VIN number. With the 311 upgrade, you now have two places that the VIN needs to go. I know Kenny and I were talking about this yesterday. We really don't know the reasoning why it has to be in both places, but it's good to have it in both places for reporting purposes. And it makes searching on the FARCOM pager a little bit easier down the road. With the FA document, I'm going to talk about those catalog codes. Catalog code 2 is for 1 ton and under vehicles, which is Fleet Management Division's purview. I always like to describe it as it's not based on the weight of the vehicle. It's based more on a class of vehicle. So, for example, a 1 ton and under vehicle would be an F350, a Ram 3500, or a Silverado 3500 and under. And then the opposite side of that would be an 03 and over 1 ton. Again, not based on weight, and that would be your 450 level vehicles and up. Anybody have any questions on that? Just where we got that pretty well. Good. Catalog code 32 is for agency third-party lease vehicles. This is for agencies that would lease vehicles through Enterprise. These vehicles should only go into OASIS if you are leasing them for a year or more, or if you are using the Fleet Management Division services, the fueling and maintenance services. Number 50 and 24, well, 50 is for licensed trailers. That would be any non-motorized licensed vehicle, basically. And then 24 is for licensed mobile homes. I don't know how many of you have mobile homes out there, but we do know that there are some in the state government. So any questions about catalog codes or fixed asset acquisition documents? Okay. Oh, man. With the 311 upgrade, there were 4 new important fields that were added. And we ask now when you enter a vehicle into OASIS, instead of using the manufacturer, you use a vehicle make. Instead of using model number, you use vehicle model. In the past, we were using drawing for vehicle year. Well, now there's actually a place for vehicle year. And then, like I had stated a little bit earlier, we asked that you put the VIN number in both the serial number field and the VIN field, because that will help you search for vehicles in Oasis down the road, and it kind of helps with us having the VIN numbers and everything in the right place. A few other new fields that they added were weight, size, license plate, and fuel type. Not mandatory fields, but just with the upgrade, new things that got added. At some point down the road, we are supposed to take the year, make, and model from vehicles that were already in Oasis and convert them into the new fields. Between everything we've been doing in the fleet management division and everything Oasis has been into, we just haven't had time to get together and get that transition over quite yet. I would like to think here before the end of the year we will have that done. So if you're wondering about your old vehicles and the stuff going into the new field, you don't have to worry about that. We will be getting that taken care of.
Is that
Becky,
for both agency owned and fleet leased, Tim?
Yes. Yes, agency owned vehicles and fleet vehicles, all of them. It's just going to be one big massive update when we do it.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. An FD document is just, it's used to retire vehicles. And again, if the vehicle's leased through the fleet management division, we take care of this process. All catalog code 02 and 03, so all 1 ton and under and over 1, I believe it's all, or is it just 1 ton and under? Stephanie, do you get all vehicles?
Yes,
Okay.
both over a ton and 1 ton and under. I do receive, not trailers, though. Trailers will not come through our workflow.
Okay, so all 1 ton and under and all over 1 ton vehicles.
And also all leased vehicles. I'm so sorry.
And all leased, yes, 32. So all of those FD documents come through the fleet management division at some point. If the agency is exempt from surplus, we are the final approver. If not, I believe surplus is the final approver.
Yes, in some cases it will go back to the agency level workflow for their final, and at times it's fleet management as the final. It just depends on how it's set up on certain types of vehicles and for certain agencies.
Yes. So the reason I say that is because there are 2 things that we require that need to be attached to that FD document. That is the bill of sale and the executed title.
Correct. And if it's a totaled vehicle, we would require the title and the settlement offer from the insurance company at a minimum, and anything additional supporting documentation that you want to attach, that's perfectly fine as well. Just please refrain from any type of PPI information.
Yes, thank you. Some methods for disposition for a vehicle. If you're selling a vehicle and you're not exempt from purchasing, usually it goes to surplus. And that's what delivered to surplus is.
And if I might, Tim, I will just clarify for everyone. When it says anything regarding surplus disposition in Oasis, whether that's a surplus pickup or a surplus delivery, that is referring to the state of West Virginia surplus property. So for those agencies, I know we have some higher education agencies that have a surplus selling on their sites. That's not the disposition method that you'll want to use for yours, because it does specifically refer to that surplus property for the state of West Virginia.
And I'm not going to read through these because I feel like they're pretty self-explanatory on top of what Stephanie already stated there. So if you guys, does anybody have any questions about FD documents? Again, I'm going to just keep on beating this horse. If the vehicle's leased through us, this is something that you don't have to worry about. An FM, yes, ma'am.
I just wanted to let the group know that if you're new to FA documents or FD document creation, we do have some helpful instructions on our website under the Agency Fleet Coordinator Resources tab. It's just kind of a general overview of how to perform those document creations. Of course, OASIS training is immensely helpful, but we do try to provide you a little snapshot of how to do those, just for your reference. Thank you, Tim.
I should have let you do this whole thing. It sounds better coming from you.
But you're doing so well.
All right, FM documents. These are used to modify existing assets or vehicles in OASIS. I have a list of things here that usually get modified: year, make, model, VIN numbers, and that requires an approval from surplus. The big ones that we do a lot of are catalog codes and custodian codes, because some people do get a little confused on if a vehicle's over 1 ton or not, or under 1 ton. And custodian codes in OASIS are how we determine who is operating the vehicle. Because if the vehicle's leased through us, it's in OASIS as being owned by the Fleet Management Division. So we use custodian codes to actually see what agency is operating that vehicle. FC documents are used solely for canceling. And really the only instance you would ever do this is if you duplicated a record in OASIS. So there's probably...
Tim, may I ask, would they also need to do an FC document if, say, the financial information that they entered for that asset wasn't correct, or can that be modified with an FM?
That's actually a good question, and I'm not 100% sure, but I'm kind of like in agreement with you that an FC document would have to be created and you have to redo it, because financial information historically has been impossible to modify on an asset.
I personally haven't been able to do an FM for a financial related correction, so I just wondered if that was set up the same for all users or not.
That'll be something I'll confirm with Sean.
Okay.
He should know the answer to that, and I will ask him that and let everybody know.
Thank you.
Does anybody have any questions about fixed asset documents? I can't see the chat, so I can't see if there's any questions there, but...
No questions about that. I am answering a question from Tammy in relation to the PowerPoint, and yes, that will be posted on our website after this presentation is over.
Yes. Okay, the FARCOMP page in the financial application of the OASIS system. This is kind of your go-to to find your active vehicles. Usually this is kind of whenever you're getting a license plate from DMV, a printout of this page proving that it's in OASIS is a good way to get your license plate. So that way they, DMV can see that, oh, the VIN's right, everything's good. But this is also just a good way to go in and see what vehicles you have, or there are multiple ways you can search here. I don't know if there's anybody really on here that uses this, because again, if you're leasing the vehicles through us, you really wouldn't be able to see your vehicles on this page because of the fact that you only have security clearance to see your department. So, but I would just like to throw this in. Would anybody like to see what this looks like in the financial application? Want me to go in and open it and show everybody, or does the screenshot suffice?
I think it might be useful to show everybody just what it looks like, because I know we do have several agencies purchasing their own vehicles this year. And that is a required document for the DMV, as Tim said, for your license application form.
All right. So you would log into My Apps, which there is a link at the very beginning of this presentation that'll take you to My Apps. And if you don't have access to it, just contact OASIS and they'll get you access to it. But you would click on Financials, which I'm not signed in. Just click on Financials. And in the top right up here at the Jump to, you would type in
I'm so sorry, Tim. We're not seeing your screen.
Oh, yeah. Sorry.
That's quite all right.
Wrong screen. We'll go about doing it this way. How about now?
Yes, we are starting to see it. Yep, perfect. Thank you.
Let's start back over here. So I clicked on financials in the procurement, treasury, red box there, and it brought up this page. And in the jump to, you type in FARCOMP and hit go, and it takes you to FARCOMP page. For some odd reason, my search box always opens up on another window. If you know the fixed asset number, you can type that in there to search for it directly. If you don't, but you know, a good example would be the last 6 of the VIN. You
could try 632925 asterisk to start, everyone, for your wild card.
632
925.
And yes, you would put an asterisk in the beginning because that is what the wild card is in the financial application. And then I would hit enter, and here's all my vehicle information, my fixed asset number. The section that I was talking about that DMV is real important to them is this specification section. This is where your year, make, model, and VIN number will all go.
Correct. And DMV should be reviewing that against the VIN number that's on your title application paperwork. So if your VIN does not match, DMV should reject that document, or at the very least, it might create an issue when they do issue your title if it's not the correct VIN number.
And this vehicle got surplused a couple weeks ago.
That is correct. And that's another thing as well, everyone. The acquisition disposition details dropdown is also another section that DMV has said that they would like that expanded. I tend to expand all sections just to be on the safe side, but that specification section and the acquisition disposition details does need to be expanded before you print off this form.
Anybody have any questions, comments, or concerns about this page? I noticed that Kenny put a note in the comments. The wvOASIS system, and I believe I kind of talked about this a little bit ago, is an inventory system. So where ARI is the operating system. So in wvOASIS, you see who owns the vehicle, where in ARI, you see who operates the vehicle. So just thought throw that little note in there. So if there's no questions here, I will jump back over to the PowerPoint.
Tim, when I'm doing a FARCOMP search, can I search by license plate now? Since they have a license plate field, we're not using drawing and all that stuff.
That is only if the license plate is listed in there.
Okay.
Yeah.
So really the only two ways really to get it is by the VIN number or the vehicle asset ID, the A number. Yes.
Or, I mean, what are the other things that are here? You see where it says asset catalog? If you put like O2 in there, it would show you all of the O2 vehicles.
That they have, that they own under that. Yeah. Okay.
That they own under their agency based on their security. Yeah. So yeah, even if you wanted to see all the vehicles that you bought on July 1st of this year, you can put in the acquisition date and it would give you all those. But yes, I don't think license plate is an option to search actually. So even if it wasn't there, you couldn't search by it.
No, and I think they left that as an option because of all the FMs or FCs that would create every time a vehicle is changed or lost or.
Yes. Yeah. It just would be a constant having to update if people put license plates in there. So it's better just to keep them in ARI for now.
Yeah. And they have to further clarify that because they have to be in wvOASIS in the inventory system first before they can be licensed. So that would have to create another, an FM document, Tim?
Yes.
to
Yeah.
add the license plate. So that's another step. That's another hindrance to getting the license plate in the inventory system.
Yeah. And we know that we don't want to have to go back and do more work on top of already putting it in there, right? So, and there's really no benefit to it being in there other than it being listed on an inventory report. And this is everything I just showed you on the FAR comp page. We were talking about the DMV requiring the printout. Again, after that 311 upgrade, you can see kind of in here where you got the vehicle year, make, model, and VIN getting added. Which if you were, when we were just in there, that should have been there. I didn't point that out, sorry.
But that is important to, again, restate why you want to add the VIN and the serial number field, which is, again, previously what you had done. But in FAR comp, Tim would not have been able to pull that vehicle by that wildcard last 6 by searching in that field if we hadn't already put it in that serial number field. So just putting it in both places will save you time down the road when you're trying to reference that asset if you do not have the asset number handy.
Yes. BI reports. Can I see a show of hands in the comments of how many people have run reports in BI? Oh, I'm hearing them. And one of them's Kenny. Come on.
A lot of people.
All right, so here is a screenshot of what I feel are the 3 most important fixed asset reports when it comes to vehicles in OASIS. And how you get here is very similar to how we went to financials. Instead of financials, I'm going to click on this business intelligence box here. And it's going to think real hard and open up. And where all these reports are located at, after this 311 upgrade, things kind of got moved around and a little bit harder to find. But where everything's pretty much located is if you go to documents up here at the top left, and then under documents down under folders, this is where all of the reports are located, and you would expand all your folders. So I got public folders, wvOASIS, Advantage Financial. And then I'd click on this fixed asset box, and here's where all of the fixed asset related reports are located. I believe the 3 big ones that I had listed for vehicles are the AM17V, which if you were, as an agency, if you were to run this, you would get every vehicle that you own from the OASIS system, and how you would have to run this in order to do that. Let me go back to the PowerPoint to get to that screen. This report you would run for catalog codes 02, 03, 32, 50, and 24, and that will give you all licensed roadworthy vehicles that your agency owns that are currently active. Everybody understand that? Again, because of OASIS securities, it would only be vehicles that you own.
And when you say active, meaning that they are in the OASIS system and they haven't had a disposition method done to them. So they're still active in OASIS, correct?
Yes, they are still active in OASIS and have not been decommissioned.
So therefore, the inventory would be overstated if you'd retired a vehicle, or if you retired it and not done it in OASIS.
Yes. Yeah, if you were to take a vehicle out of your fleet and not do the whole FD document process in OASIS, our inventory would be overstated as a whole. Yes. And that actually will bring me to the next report, which is the AM6. This report if you'd run it the same way, catalog codes 02, 03, 32, 50, and 24, it would show you all of the vehicles that your agency has decommissioned in the OASIS system. So this would be all, I'm not going to use the word inactive because it is obviously possible for a vehicle to get decommissioned and then bought by another agency. So it is possible that the vehicle could be on this report and in the active report, just to kind of throw that note out there. But again, based on your security, you're only going to see your agency's information.
And a point of clarification on that, like if Mike Daly at PSC was running this report, he would only see the ones that are agency owned. And
Yes.
and this is the retired report. So for him, if he ran the 6 report and the 17 report, they shouldn't be on both. For him. Because Mike Daly would see it being retired, but if Tammy Thomas bought that vehicle, it would be on her 17, but it would be on Mike Daly's 6. Right?
Yes, you're absolutely right. In that instance, there just are those occasions where an agency sells a vehicle and buys it back.
I have seen DNRs take vehicles to surplus and then buy them back. So you're right. It would be on that case. It would be on his retired and on his active, his 6 and 17. Yep.
Yes, but based on like what you're saying, yeah. Mike Daly would see the vehicle on his 6, where Tammy would see it on her 17 because it's active for her and not active for Mike. And I would say that would be 99% of the time that's how it would be, except for like we were just talking about DNR there.
And the reason that we're showing you the 17 report is that you have on the agency owns, the agency has to facilitate the activity of relicensing when that DMV expiration comes up every 2 years. So this report will help you define of all the assets that you have responsibility for the retiring or the retitling of.
Yeah.
Renewals.
Yes. Okay.
On the 6 report, can you go back one? On the 6 report, how come you don't put in a date range?
Me personally, or
Well, yeah, I
agency
mean,
in
like,
general.
you have, you would put you in your 02, 03, 32, but in your instructions, you don't so if they ran this the way they have it now, you would get everything that's retired since OASIS started in 2015.
Yes.
But if you wanted to see what you retired last month, would you put it?
You'd put in a disposition start and end date.
Gotcha.
Of June 1st to June 30th.
Okay.
Yeah. And I do believe FARs request that information sometimes. How many you've decommissioned in a fiscal year kind of thing. The third report I had on the list was the AM43, and this would be it's fixed asset documents report. And the difference between this report and the other 2 is that the other 2 are data warehouse reports, which means that they refresh daily, which means that overnight the data refreshes and then the next day it stays the same the whole day. Where this report is operational, and what that means is that this report, if you were to go create an FA document right now, it would show up on this report if you ran it right after that. But what this report shows is every single fixed asset document that your agency has created, whether it is in draft, final, pending, rejected. And how this report kind of helps is, where am I at on, I created this FA document. I could have sworn it went final, but I have this vehicle that still isn't showing up on my active report. Well, if you'd run this, you'd see these are all of your FA documents that are in a pending status. And that would kind of tell you if that one document's on there, it'd say, oh, there's why this one hasn't gone to final yet. Maybe I need to contact purchasing and say, how come you haven't finalized this yet? Or that's just me throwing out examples. Or at the agency level, you may have to go to your director and say, hey, how come you haven't approved this document yet? So that's kind of why this it's just helpful in seeing where your document workflow kind of is. And But again, same catalog codes. If you run it for 02, 03, 32, 50, and 24, it'll give you all of your licensed vehicles that have had documents created against them.
And that's all documents from an FM to an FA, FD,
Yep.
FC.
FAIT.
Now, it won't show a procurement document like a CRQS or something like that.
Oh,
will
no.
it?
No.
No. Just already existing inventory. Okay.
Yeah, oh, that's because those are a totally different world. Those are procurement documents. These are fixed asset documents. Anybody have any questions on OASIS reports? Again, everything is located here. There is one other report, and I know that when you have to do like an inventory with surplus property, the AM17 assets by department, if you ran this report, it would give you every single asset that is in OASIS that your agency owns. So I'm just kind of throwing this out there as a little bit of extra information for whenever you're just curious to what does my agency own in general. That report would give you everything, including vehicles and all.
Tim, there is one other report that I think would be handy for the AFCs to be aware of, and it's under the procurement folder. And I think it's the Proc 46.
Vendor registration report?
Or
Or the vehicle agreement
acquisition. One of them has the acquisition. It's a Proc. I can't see your screen very well. It shows the procurement document of the agencies, and it leads all the way through to the award document and then the delivery document. So you can see the flow of the procurement document and if it's held up anywhere and the status of its.
Is it a
28?
procurement folder?
Yes, I'm sorry. Yes, the procurement. Yeah, Proc 28. There it is.
I was going to say, yeah, it's a.
It's handy, like when you're looking for a document, especially if you're doing a CRQS or something that has a solicitation and it has to go through a process. To me, it's a very good document that you can see when it was solicited, how long it's taken to go through the process. I know purchasing has some type of tracking mechanism, but the system of record is the one that I would recommend. It has the Proc 28. It can actually show the solicitation, the delivery along with it. It's basically the procurement folder of the acquisition of an asset.
Okay.
That was it.
Well, thank you for that. That actually, I mean, yeah, because it's. I know how popular of a report that is for everything, not just vehicles. So. Let me go back to the PowerPoint. Are there any questions in the comments I need to kind of answer for the group, or we all good there? The other report that's in OASIS.
Hey, Tim, there are a couple of questions out there. Just wanted to make sure. Anita looks like is. If anyone doesn't have access to FA, you can always call OASIS help desk. I believe the contact is Denise. Tim.
It's if you contact, I believe it's wvOASIS security. No, security at wvOASIS.gov. If you send an email to that they're kind of the ones that set everything up for you.
This is Anita. I put that out there because it's just an internal control that our agency has. We have a dedicated fixed asset manager.
Mm-hmm.
So they don't want other people in there making entries in the fixed asset system is what I understand, with the Department of Ag having so many different agencies and different fleet coordinators. So they gave me access to FA HIST so I can at least see my documents and let them know if there are any errors.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how we work. So if anybody else doesn't have access, that's how they can view their vehicles.
Okay. I mean, I know OASIS has a way that they can give you read only to where you can't change anything. You just see stuff.
Right. That's what FA HIST is.
Yeah.
It's a history of your fixed access entries.
Any other questions? Comments? If not, I'll go ahead and jump into the last OASIS in general report that we'll talk about. It's the GUL 146. I know a lot of people run this report for a lot of different reasons. Basically, this is a financial report that just kind of shows you money that you're spending and money that you're receiving, along with a lot of other things, but those are the two big ones. What we use this report for is for our year-end reporting. We run this for all vehicle-related expenses that don't go through ARI. And when I say vehicle-related expenses that go through ARI, I mean like things like maintenance expenses, tires, oil changes. But then on top of that, we also look at how much is spent on rental vehicles a year, mileage reimbursement, and things like that, just because, well, we're required to do that. But how that can benefit you all is that you could run this report, you know, for these same object codes and for cash expenditures, and it would kind of say to your agency, hey, we're renting this much worth in enterprise vehicles a month, or we're giving this much in mileage reimbursement a month, when, I mean, we've got vehicles that we could be using instead of that. And it just, things like that. It's just a way to kind of look at your financials as a whole when it comes to vehicles and say, could we be better at spending our money? And the next few slides, I believe I kind of...
Hey, one point on that one, Tim. That 146 report in our year-end reporting, some of the questions we've been getting back from the legislative auditor and the auditor's office is, why does this agency have, they got 20 vehicles, 10 of them don't even average 1,100 miles a month, but yet they're spending millions of dollars in enterprise and mileage reimbursement. And those questions I can't answer. We just house the data. So to me, what Tim's providing here for you is a way that you can look in your agency, see how much you're spending in enterprise and mileage reimbursement. And then you can always run the love report in ARI and see how you're utilizing your current vehicles in addition to paying for travel and mileage reimbursement. So what we want to do is maximize our current assets before we spend another nickel with mileage reimbursement or with a third-party enterprise or Hertz. So we want to make sure we're maximizing our current inventory before we spend any more additional state taxpayers' dollars. And that 146 is a good way for you AFCs to talk to your CFOs, your directors, your cabinet secretaries, and let them know that, hey, you see an issue here, and we might need to strengthen some policies and procedures inside of our agency to make sure that we're maximizing our inventory before we spend additional state taxpayers' dollars for travel purposes. So that's the whole purpose of the 146, and to educate you on where you can find the information so that you know how much you're spending additional dollars for travel while your inventory is sitting there being underutilized. So any questions or? Okay.
So basically, there's a lot of object codes and sub-object codes here, depending on how what you really wanted to look at. But after doing like some research and just looking at things, we've kind of come to the conclusion that in order to get all vehicle-related expenses, whether it be mileage reimbursement or rentals or just other maintenance and fueling expenses, you'd have to put a combination of these object codes and these sub-object codes into the report when you ran it to get all that. Now, again, for your agency, if you just wanted to see mileage reimbursement, the next several slides define each one of these codes. So you actually know what they are, and then you wouldn't have to put. But also, when you run this report, if you're looking at just expenses, you need to put in a closing classification of 10, which stands for cash expenditures. So that way you just see the money that's going out. That would be because the way the GL 146 works is it's an accounting report. And as you accounting specialists know, for every positive, there's a negative. So if you don't put in that closing class 10, you're going to get duplicates of every single transaction because you're going to see every side of it is the reasoning why you got to put that in. And then there is a mandatory prompt on that report for fiscal year. So I'm actually going to go ahead and jump into, no, I'm not. I'm going to show you here where this is how you can take that GO146 report and export it to Excel. I'd go out and run the report, but I don't want to waste all your time waiting for a report to spin and finish. So, but you basically put those prompts in. I said in the last page, hit run. Whenever you got the data you needed, you'd click this little box I have up here highlighted in red. It'd open up this export prompt box, and you would just pick the tabs you want to and change the file type to Excel. And then when you clicked OK, it would download the report as an Excel file. And then from there, you can filter or sort and do whatever you want with it. If you have any questions about this, or if you want to see me do it, I can do that. Just go ahead and speak up now. Otherwise, if you would prefer talk to me later, I have no problem meeting with some of you just to kind of run through how to run reports in Oasis and stuff. The easiest way to do it. But again, like I said, I can do it now if you want to. But I don't hear anyone speaking up, so I'll jump into, so the next several slides are what each object code and sub-object code is defined of meaning in Oasis when it comes to vehicle-related expenses. So just as an example here, object code 3211 with sub-object code 3520 is in-state mileage reimbursement. And then there is another combination that is out-of-state mileage reimbursement, which is down here at 3527. So if you wanted to see all of your employees' travel reimbursement, you'd put in 3211 as the object code, and you'd put in 3520 and 3527 as your sub-object codes to get all of your employees that have had mileage reimbursement within the time period that you select. Are there any questions on that? Because I'm confusing myself as I say it. So I know people out there got to be thinking, man, what's he talking about? If not, I believe this is after all of these slides. Somebody's got a question. I can hear it. It's coming.
I think everyone's going to hit you up after the meeting.
Okay, so if there aren't any questions, I know that this was the end. This is kind of how all these definitions where it ends. I'm going to open it up now to any questions in general. Any questions about this Oasis presentation? You just want to throw out there? Any comments? If not, anybody from FMD want to throw in anything?
I will say that I know that a lot of you all don't have access to Oasis, but the point of all of this is to give you another set of understandings of the reporting that's needed to be done, what the legislature expects, and how we can help whether it's our CFO or our agency, have a better handle on using our assets appropriately and maximizing the utilization of our vehicles. So I know a lot of you, like I said, don't have access to this, and it may be at a high level, but these are still tools that you can take back to your agency and assist your agency with managing their vehicles appropriately. We appreciate your help. Thank you.